Well, last week when we left our hero, he was busy telling you how he wasn't going to cut this corner apart, and well, there you go. He cut the corner apart. I had to because the panel I bought required a little bit more fabrication, and of course, as I'll allude to later in the video, I found some more rust and corrosion in areas, and I had to adapt and overcome. So, get over it.
All right, to better probably guide you guys through what's going on here, this driver's side rear section here is really a problem. It's just got so many little problems with it. So there's like 3 or 4 pieces of metal that come together, they all get sandwiched in here and they're spot welded into place. Not a big deal. But what I've got here is I have this patch piece, which is supposed to fit in here. So I take that piece, combine it with this piece, and we have all new metal, right? That's the theory. The reality is, that's not happening. So, this piece is just a piece of metal now. I don't have any other use for it other than just for scrap metal I can cut up into making the patches, like this patch right here. So, inside here is the heater. When I blew in there, all the rust and bits came out the heater pipe just up here, just here. There. So what that means is that hole there is going into the heater cavity, which is not a problem. I'm just going to have to seal this area up here. So that's going to get treated with some rust preventing paint. And then I'm going to hit it with some weld through primer. And then I'm going to seal it up as best I can. So there's really not much else you can do with it. It doesn't matter as long as it's sealed up. So I'll go around both sides of this thing and get this whole thing welded up nice and tight. And that way it won't be an issue again. The only other thing I can do is cut this bottom piece off, weld in a piece there, and then weld this back on. I could do that. It's probably the better thing to do. You know what? Maybe I'll do that. So I had a good conversation with myself, and I just cut it off, exposed this piece here. I'm not sure what that is. So I'm just gonna weld in a patch, rebuild this little piece here, and then get back to business. This corner has been kicking the crap out of me enough these days. I'm gonna just sort of take it by the head. I ain't no chicken.
You know, it's about this point where I am sick of that corner and I go to the front of the car, the passenger side, and I start messing with that corner there, which was quite rusty. I talk about it more later in the video, but I need a change, man. That thing was just beat me to death.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for episode number 20. This is a bit of a milestone. 20 episodes in just over 2 months. I have to admit, I am really wrestling with the 2 episodes a week. It is a pile of work, but I love it. So here's where we're at right now for this week here. I was expecting to have this section done. I know last week where we left off, I wasn't going to do this amount of metal removal, but what I realized is when I bought the panel and put everything in place, as you'll see here, hang on, work with me, that I actually needed to remove a bit more metal than I thought because some of that rust went actually up the side. So I had to do that. And of course at the back here where this heater cavity is, what I didn't realize fully about these cars is that heater cavity, for those of you less familiar with it, these pipes right here actually take engine heat and they plumb them into this area here which collects all that heat, moves it down the floor, and it comes up on the floor, or it comes up on the windshield. However, what happens is that's all just regular metal in there. And when you get all that heat in there, and that heat, let's say you live in Vermont or Seattle or Vancouver, where I live, all that heat eventually condenses and turns into water. So that becomes a great big area for water to sit. It's probably not intentional. It was a very interesting and efficient way of moving heat around a car. Unfortunately, it didn't account for the northern climates in those areas, which cooled down quite a bit. And anybody who knows anything about Volkswagens knows that they've had terrible heating systems in them. That's why they introduced the gas heater sometime in the 60s. But I digress. So what I did was I got tired of that corner down there. I'm just not there right now. I need more work and practice and doing that bit of body work. So I focused on this area up here. And I hand formed a piece in here, which is gonna fit in there. And then I'll do a little fitsy thing where I put another piece in here, and that'll be fine. The piece I actually bought doesn't quite fit. It actually is about half an inch short of filling that gap. So it's just basically a nice little piece of sheet metal that I can't really use for anything other than more little bits and pieces for other repairs. So that's where we're at with that. Now, that just didn't get done this week. I just ran out of time and ran out of opportunity. I worked today, and by the time I had dinner, and here we are. So I'm late getting video out. This 2 video a week thing, man, it is tough. However, Bill dropped off the seats. So I have both front seats here, and I have the back seat somewhere back there on the hoist. So we're trying to produce this color here. We're trying to replicate this color. It's kind of like tan, bone, and gray. It's kind of an odd color. I'm sure there's a name for it, and if we look deep enough, someone will hopefully come back and tell us what it is. So that's the color we want to go back with all the interior bits. So the steering column, the e-brake handle, and the seats. The shifter is actually going to be vintage classic, I think it's called. It's basically like a gated shifter without the gates. Super cool shifter. It's not cheap, but it really changes the whole dynamics of the shifter column in these cars, which those of you who know much about Volkswagens know it's kind of like a knife in a bowl of butter. It doesn't really, you kind of have a gear idea where you are. This shifter takes all that out of it and makes it really cool. So that is happening. What else is happening? Oh, a little bit about me. Someone asked me the other day about my tattoos. I have a fair number of tattoos, as does Danielle. I got this guy right here. And what that is I can't think what the name of the actual creature is. It's a South African god of fertility and laughter and comedy or something, which those of you who know me know I'm a bit of a goof, so it kind of fits. And he's playing bagpipes. That was a little addition I made. I'm a bagpiper. I've been playing bagpipes for, I don't know, 15 years or so. So I play with a few bands, and I've been all over Europe playing bagpipes. It's pretty cool. So anyways, that's a little bit about me. And I got this guy down here, which those of you who also know what that symbol means right there, it's a bass clef. And the other part, leave it in the comments if you know what that means or what that symbol is. Then I got my kid's name in playground blocks. And this guy here is a P40. I got done by a guy at Stevenson Tattoo. And I got some zeros in there. That's basically paying homage to the Pearl Harbor. I just always loved the story of Pearl Harbor, and I always admired all the people who were part of that whole thing. It's just like, it's an incredible story of, it was just incredible. So anyways, that was my little thing. I'm also a pilot, so planes are my thing. But yeah, just a little bit about me. But more importantly, I will have that front section done this week. And I will have this in some form of completedness, if that's a word. Maybe it's not. If it's not, you know what? I don't care. It's a word today. That's my plan. That's my promise to you, my loyal, wonderful listeners and viewers. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm sorry this wasn't more interesting, and it's still kind of interesting, but just not as interesting as it could be. But
On the flip side, you could be watching me weld and grind, which is significantly less interesting.